How can I learn to be an encouragement to someone if I'm really bad at encouraging people? That is a very interesting thing to say. It's like walking up to people saying, "Hey, you're not as ugly as other people." I'll tell you this. There's a book that I read years ago, and it gets made fun of a lot, but I think it's actually a pretty good book. There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I forget the guy's name who wrote it, but it's actually a really good book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. You have to learn how to genuinely compliment folks, and you have to be able to find virtue in people and find their strengths and see that, and let folks know that, hey, I saw that you did that and I appreciate that, and that encourages people. But I'm going to tell you, there is a great need in these days for people to be encouraged. There's a lot of people out there that get beat up by life. They get beat up by family situations. There's some people out there, the devil just wears them out, and they need to be told that you're winning, and I notice you're winning, and you're doing well, and I'm proud of you. And, tell your kids that, obviously, but you need to find a way that, especially with people you go to church with and people that you need to find a way to sincerely compliment them and tell them that you appreciate what they do and that they mean a lot to you. And there it is. Brad Thompson says, How to Win Friends. Dale Carnegie's the man. How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's one of the things he talks about in that book, how to pay people a sincere compliment and to let them know that you really do appreciate that. Now, it may not be much, but it is a serious thing. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the Bible. I'm going to answer this with the Bible. How about that? That'll be a good idea, huh? Let's see here. There's the word esteem in there. Let's see here. Philippians 2:3, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. That means, give each other preferential treatment. And then also 1 Thessalonians 5, it talks about preachers. To know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord, admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake, and be at peace amongst yourselves. That means don't fight with preachers. There's a lot of, in the religious world, there is a lot of fighting needs to be done. We got to fight. We got to fight against Rome. We got to fight against ecumenicism. We got to fight against the Hebrew roots cult that's out there. We got to fight against, there's all kinds of people out there. We have got to stand against false teaching. But we have, just as hard as we stand against false teaching and cast down, the bad, we got to make sure that we uplift the good. And we got to make sure that we let folks know, hey, I'm for you. I'm on your side. Can I tell you this? And maybe you won't. It's hard for you to understand this until you get into kind of a public figure position. But I'm going to tell you, there's days where the onslaught against me sometimes is just like unbelievable. There have been times I've taken this phone and just thrown it in the corner and thought, oh, goodness gracious sakes alive. How the children of Israel, that they got discouraged when they were out in the wilderness and they thought, man, can we just go back to Egypt now? It would have been so much easier if we'd just been slaves in Egypt. And, of course, they were talking out of their flesh, and what they were saying wasn't necessarily true. I obviously wasn't true. But, you see how people could get discouraged with circumstances and discouraged with things that, in the heat of the moment, they say things that just aren't so, and they get they lose perspective on things. And I think that encouragement helps people to bring it back to a real perspective. You're winning. You're a blessing. I appreciate you. You've been a big help to us. And I think that's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. We need folks to do that. We need folks to help with that. And it's a great blessing. And so just try to work at it a little bit and try your best to if you have to, just find something like, hey, nice shoes. Hey, your hat's cool. hey, your Golden Tiger shirt is, not as bad as another shirt that I saw. Just something,
Oh, yeah.
and think about that. So